Hi everyone, this week we saw Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 and the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. So starting off with Kill Bill, in the first movie, we actually don't even know the main character's name. She's just referred to as the bride. And every time her name is said on screen, it gets bleeped out, so we never know what her name is. So, um, the movie starts off with a scene of her being shot in the head at a church where she is assumed to be getting married. After waking up from a 4-year coma as a result of this, she sets out to kill the members of her old assassin's crew. Right off the bat, we can see that the main character is motivated by revenge, and we see that she has a list that she made a list of everyone she wants to kill, and she wants to kill them in a specific order. So this movie is told not in chronological order. So the first person we see her kill is not actually the first person that she did kill. But the first person we see her kill is Vernita Green, aka Copperhead. She surprises her at home, and then they get into a fight, but they stop once she sees that her daughter is coming home from school. And then after her daughter leaves, they talk for a little bit, but then they resume fighting. And the bride ends up killing her with a knife. And then after this, she realizes that her daughter was actually seeing everything. So she tells the daughter that if she is still mad about this when she grows up, that she can come after her and get her revenge. So we see her that this kind of starts like a cycle of killing and of revenge. Because first the Copperhead tried to kill her, so then she killed Copperhead as revenge. But then her daughter was a witness to all of this, so in the future, her daughter could potentially continue the cycle of revenge. Um, so after this, we see like a flashback of her when she was first in the hospital, and we see L Driver, aka California Mountain Snake, visits her in the hospital to go kill her. But then, as soon as she's about to inject her, Bill calls her off, saying that it's dishonorable to kill her since she's unconscious and cannot defend herself. So 4 years later, the bride wakes up, and she looks down and she realizes that she's not pregnant anymore, and she's obviously distraught by this. She soon after kills this nurse that had been raping her during her coma, and she steals his car. Um, she has to learn how to walk again because after all the years in the coma, she lost feeling in her legs. And then after this, she ends up going to Okinawa to get a sword from Hattori Hanzo, who's like one of the best swordsmen. And then she heads to Tokyo to kill O-Ren, aka Cottonmouth. So after she kills Oren in this big fight, she drops off Oren's best friend at the hospital. And the only reason she left her alive was to deliver a message for Bill. And then once we see her delivering this message, we it is revealed that her daughter is actually still alive. So in this movie, we see different elements of ritual. Honor being one of them. So Bill, for example, doesn't want to kill her in her coma because he says it would be dishonorable. And then she also says that she doesn't want to kill Copperhead in front of her daughter because it would also be dishonorable. And then we also see when Hattori Hanzo, after he makes it the bride's sword, he gives it to her in a ceremony that he performs with his assistant. And then we see when the bride goes to fight Oren, she doesn't just fight her right off the bat. She has to first defeat her whole army and then fight her bodyguard, and then when she finally gets to Oren, they have like a traditional sword fight out in the snow where she defeats her. And then we also see some mythic elements. For example, Bill is portrayed as a very mysterious and powerful being. And there's also an air of mystery around the bride's name because we're not immediately told what it is, so it creates a sort of importance to it. And then her sword that was made by again Hattori Hanzo. It's kind of her magical weapon because it's very special, and everyone after hearing that it's a Hattori Hanzo sword, they react because they know it's a very powerful weapon. So this movie is not told in chronological order, which is typical for Quentin Tarantino. Um, and it uses various effects to tell the story. One that I liked in particular was with Oren's backstory. The story was told in animation, and it looked kind of like an anime, which makes sense because O-Ren is from Japan. We also see that music is used often to set the tone, and I really liked how the music was used in this movie. So moving on to volume two, the movie starts off with her driving, and she's narrating as she's doing this, and we she tells us that she's going to Bill now, and that she's killed off everyone else. So then we see a flashback of what happened the day of her wedding rehearsal when she was shot in the head and when everyone else was killed. So then she attempts to go ambush Bill's brother, aka the Snake Charmer, but he senses her coming and he shoots her in the chest and then buries her alive. Then we see a flashback of when Bill took her to train with Pai Mei. While there, she learned how to punch from a very close distance, and then she uses the skill in order to punch herself out of her coffin and then dig herself out. While this is happening, Bill's brother calls El Driver and tells her that he killed Beatrice and that he has her Hattori Hanzo and he wants to give it to her in exchange for $1 million. When she comes to deliver the money, she hides a snake in the suitcase with the money, and that's how she kills him. And then she calls Bill and tells him that she killed Beatrix. Um, but then Beatrix surprises her, and they have a fight. During which um, Elle tells her that she actually killed Pai Mei because he took out her right eye. So this angers Beatrix, and then she takes out her other eye, and then leaves her to die in the trailer. After this, we see that Beatrix goes to Mexico, where she meets up with this pimp who tells her where Bill is. Then she tries to ambush Bill, but when she bursts into the room, she sees that he's there with her daughter, whose name is Bibi, and she's obviously taken off guard because up to this point she thought that she was dead. So she kind of plays with her for the rest of the night and then puts her to bed. And then her and Bill starts talking, and he injects her with the truth serum because he says that he cannot trust her and that he doesn't know if she's lying or not. So after he asks her a bunch of questions and they talk for a while, she ends up performing the 5 point exploding heart technique on him, which um, they had previously talked about, and he was under the impression that Pai Mei was never going to teach anybody this trick, so he was very surprised after he realized that she actually impressed him enough to have him teach her this technique. After this, he sits there and he accepts his fate, and so he stands up and he takes 5 steps and then he dies. Beatrix then takes BB and they start a new life together. So in volume two, we also see elements of ritual for mostly her training with Pai Mei. We see that he's very stubborn with how he is, and he makes her do things a specific way, even down to how she eats her food. And then as far as mythical elements, Pai Mei in this movie is portrayed as a legendary character and as a very powerful character. It's very honorable to be under his tutelage and to be trained by him. And the 5 point exploding heart technique is also seen as a kind of like a supernatural ability because it's very impressive. We also see that there's an element of yin and yang in this movie. So Beatrix would be yin and Bill is yang, and their lives are intertwined. So no matter how much Beatrix tries to get away from him, um, they're always going to be connected, especially with their daughter. So this movie is also not told in chronological order, and it continues to use music to set the tone, like in the past movie. So moving on to the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, the movie starts off with the main character joining a rebellion against the corrupt government. After this, the government kills everyone's friends and family, and he goes to the Shaolin Temple to learn Kung Fu because he wants to get revenge. However, they initially reject him, but afterwards they decide to make an exception, and then his new name is now Sante. So his motivation is revenge, much like in Kill Bill. So he goes through all 35 temples very quickly. It only took him 6 years to do so. So in each temple, he learns a different aspect of Kung Fu. After he does this, he ends up becoming an overseer of one of the temples. After which he expresses that he wants to create a new temple so that normal people can learn Kung Fu to defend themselves um, like against the government. Um, However, this is not technically supposed to be allowed, but they banish him so that he is able to get his revenge. Um, and then after he does so, he establishes the 36th temple like he wanted to. So there are elements of ritual in this movie. For example, he must go through all 35 temples in order so that he can learn the elements of kung fu the correct way. And even the practice of kung fu is ritualistic, and he must learn how to do all the moves and practice everything to perfection. There's also a myth, so there's a lot of Buddhism in this movie as well, like Buddhism aspects, and you also see that he himself has a type of supernatural ability to learn very quickly, and he's able to go through all the temples in 6 years, which is a lot faster than most people are able to do this. So all three of these movies are martial arts films, and I think that martial arts films are appealing due to their action sequences, and usually in these movies the main character goes through a whole journey in order to get what they want, and as we have seen with these three movies. So I think anybody can really enjoy these movies. There's not a specific genre; they cover a wide range of movies and therefore age groups. So I think anyone can enjoy this movie. It's not just one specific demographic that it's geared towards. So thank you, and see you guys next week.